escaping the realm of darkness. The paranormal guys are on a quest to find the answers to the hard questions of where the normal meets the paranormal, and the weird, and where the natural meets the unnatural. So grab your holy water, call your mama, and get ready for the Paranormal Guys podcast.
All right, here we are, Scotty.
Hey.
I was just looking at that video for the second time, just so everybody knows we had to do a second.
You were just looking at what?
At that picture of that guy with the D nose. I'm gonna say it does look like a D nose.
Yeah, it does. It looks pretty big, doesn't it?
It looks like a D nose. If for people who know that I can't swear on this thing, there's the guy who's coming in our video. He starts off the video where the door opens. He's got a D nose.
He does.
He definitely has a D nose.
Pretty big nose right there.
Man, I just noticed that. I was like, wow.
Nobody knows. So hope you're watching the show. Hey, you're watching all the episodes. You'll see it every week.
Yeah, you can watch that big old D nose. Yeah, I was like this. I was listening to you for a second. And you were asking me about that big old nose on that guy, and I said, I'm gonna look at it, and I said, damn, that looks like a D nose.
It's big.
Yes, that is a big nose.
At least he's got a big D, huh?
Yeah, he's got. Well, I'm not gonna get totally interested in his D. You know what I'm saying?
I know, but you watch it. You got to.
It's like it's like an accident. You have no other choice but to see it.
Now, every time you guys watch this podcast, you're going to look at it and say, yeah, that was a D nose.
That was a D nose. That was a D nose. Yeah.
Yabba dabba doo.
Yabba dabba doo.
I say, boy, get away from me. You bother me.
You bother me, boy. So what's new with you, Scotty?
Not a ton. I got a crick in the old neck tonight, so hopefully I'm be okay. So I don't sit around here and go, ah. If you hear that, then you know the crick came back.
What'd you do to your neck?
Well, somehow I slept on it wrong last night. I just woke up this morning. It was really sore, and it's been all day. I've not been able to lose it. I got a massage when I got home, but nothing takes care of it tonight.
Do you sleep right next to a fan or an air conditioner?
I always sleep next to the fan.
Yeah. That's why.
No, I always sleep in. I've never not slept with a fan since probably 1980, 88, 87.
Yeah.
I sleep with a fan every night for all these years.
Yeah, I've been sleeping with a fan for almost 30, 40 years. I don't have it on top of me, but the reason why is for noise. You need that white noise to help you sleep.
You surely do. And I learned it when I was in college. I did a radio show at night. I did it sometimes 12 a.m. to 6 in the morning. I did that third shift, WAHC, in the morning or in the evening. Yeah, anyway, I had to go to school. I had to go to school in the morning, so I worked overnights. Had to go to school, and then I had theater because I had a degree in theater. So I went to my classes at night, and then I did the plays. So all I had was the afternoon to sleep, and that's when the dorms were the most noisiest. So that's when the fan came in and taught me how to sleep.
What kind of plays were you in?
I did theater all over the place. I did musicals. I've done regular plays. I toured with shows. So I did Jesus Christ Superstar, Oklahoma, Music Man. I did the Shapoopy.
What's the Shapoopy?
Oh, from the Music Man. That was Marcellus Washburn's big song in that show.
I've never seen the Music Man. I've never seen it.
Buddy Hackett's role. So.
Oh, okay.
I played the Eddie Albert role in Oklahoma. I played Ali Hakim. I played Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. Now that's a funny show. Oh my God. That really was pretty strong for me in my improv skills. I did improv theater for 10 years. We owned our own club called Theater Sports in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. So
wow, I'm learning more and more about you every day, buddy.
Well, yeah. Yeah, no, I've been in theater all my life, and so it's been great.
Yeah, did you? Me and my wife, we recently went to go to the Drury Lane to go see Grease.
Well, there you go. That's nice. Never did Grease.
Yeah, man, but
I was way too heavy in those days. I couldn't do Grease.
You couldn't get in that leather jacket?
Yeah. I used to weigh 325 pounds.
So, all right. You're bringing up a good point. You're bringing up an interesting story. Okay.
Yeah.
I noticed, and understand, I'm not trying to be insulting, is that I watched that movie Children of the Dead. What was it?
Children of the Grave 2.
Children of the Grave 2.
Yeah.
And yours is the first story.
I am. Yeah.
And I go, Scotty? I was looking at him. I go, is that
Scotty? It didn't look like me, does it?
I mean, it does because your mannerisms, but
I can't change that.
You can't change your mannerisms. But I was like this. But I was heavy once. I my whole life I've been either slim or heavy. You just rotate through these things.
I've been fat all my life, and up until now. Now I'm down to about 170 pounds. So
you look good, dude.
Thanks, man. Got to keep it off now. That's the key to this whole thing,
Yeah, that is the thing. Like I just had a guy come up to me at the gym today. I was at the gym and he said to me, he goes, man, you're like a very hardworking dude in here. He goes, man, you could totally tell since January you've changed your body structure.
Yep.
I said, well, I go through this every couple of years. I let myself, eat too many Cheetos and then I get back to where I should be. But that's how I do it, But enough of the, back and forth, which I do appreciate though.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, no back and forth and weight anymore. We're stopping that. So
I'm telling you, once you hit a certain age, dude, you don't want to be doing that anymore. You want to just stay healthy.
This was my 37th year of being sober too.
37 years, huh?
Yeah, I just did that at the 4th of July. Yep.
Oh.
I quit at the 4th of July parade 37 years ago. Wow. There was those Iwo guys, they're holding the flag. They're all painted bronze.
Yeah.
And so I was watching the parade. It was 9:00 in the morning when the parade starts. I was watching it. The float came by, and I heard a voice tell me I'll never be nothing if I don't stop drinking. And I looked around. I didn't hear it. And that was before my gifts really came back to me again. And so I was freaked out beyond compare. And so I stopped. And I haven't had a sip since. So 37 years. So
congratulations, buddy.
But what was really cool when we did the parade this year, and I was in the exact same parade, I had to go to a 2.5 hour class on how to drive in the parade. And the cool thing about it was I sat in there, and then all of a sudden this group came and sat next to me. It was those guys on that float sat right next to me in the training. So I got to meet them all. And I told them about my story, and they go, oh my God, thanks. That meant a lot to them because they were like, oh, we tried to mean a lot for everybody. I said, well, you guys definitely do for me, because that's why I go back to that parade every year. That's the Racine 4th of July parade.
Yeah, I saw pictures of you in there. You look like you had a great time.
We had a blast. It was wonderful. Yeah. I mean, we had about 100,000 people. We were on TV, so November 2nd is the Paracon that we're helping, the Bell City Paracon.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice. We got to get you there.
November 2nd?
Yeah.
I think I can do it. My friend, if that's what you need. All right. Well, once again, congratulations on 37 years. I actually haven't drank in 3 years.
Good. Congratulations.
Yeah, but mine was more, as like you, it was probably a health thing. I became a diabetic, and man, I used to think it was what we used to call the liver quiver. And, like you drank too much and you're just like, why am I shaking? The old liver quiver.
Right.
But I had to find out that I was a diabetic. And I tell my wife, it was a blessing in disguise. Because I feel so much better that I don't drink anymore. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, I was drinking some beers on a weekend. Every weekend I was off, man. A couple shots of Jack, man. I was doing it, man. I was enjoying myself. But
But see, my drinking and my heavy drinking is what caused my diabetes.
Yeah, that's what did it to me too. Because I was drinking and eating like an ass, and
Correct.
You think you're young, you think you're never, nothing's bad's ever going to happen to you. But all right, well, let's get rid of our sober 101. Let's start out with the news, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to have Scotty do the first story. I'll do the second story, and then we're also going to then talk about what me and Scotty got going on very, very soon. Are you ready, Scotty?
I'm ready.
Here we go.
The Paranormal Guys Weird News.
All right, Scotty, what we got here?
You've been probably told by many people that messing with the occult is extremely dangerous and potentially even life-threatening. But how much attention should we really pay to these stark warnings about experimenting with the supernatural? And dabbling with the occult really that dangerous? And what happens if we compare it to the slightly risky sport of skiing?
Okay.
Let's start with skiing because we have some definite numbers we can work off in this case. It's a known fact on average 40 people die as a result of skiing or snowboarding accidents each year. So, in comparison, the average number of people who die as a result of occult related activities each year is 0. There could be some deaths which are a result of occult that aren't identified or recorded as such, but we'll come to that soon. There's also some deaths that are very loosely linked to the occult, including the odd vogued forced exorcism performed by people who get carried away. In some countries and cultures, exorcisms are still fairly commonplace and sometimes practiced without the victim's consent. Without proper restraint or ritual can become violent and even life-threatening. In fact, as recently as August of 2018, a spiritual healer in Sydney accused of carrying out black magic exorcism on non-consenting man denied claims that his victim was held down during a ritual and even asked the exorcist to stop. The ritual involved the use of suction cups, which were placed on the man's body. He also claims that he was cut with a small blade. Luckily, the man's injuries weren't life-threatening in the case. There are also plenty of examples of accidental deaths as a result of occult practices, like a Niagara man who was shot dead trying out a bulletproof amulet in 2011. I will skip his name. He believed that the enchanted trinket would render him bulletproof and asked a friend to shoot him. Of course, that didn't work. And there's the story of a psychic medium in Thailand who killed himself in ancient folk sword ritual, which was supposed to prove his immortality. He was performing a traditional spirit dance, and which was said to honor the ghosts of the ancestors, which usually proves that the medium can beat death. The blade always snaps before being plunged into the performer's chest. On this occasion, the mystic didn't have the spirits on his side and ended up accidentally stabbing himself in the chest with a weapon. He later was pronounced dead at the hospital. There is one occult field which historically was very dangerous to dabble in, and that's witchcraft. In the 16th to the 18th century, it was a pretty dangerous time to be a witch. In Europe alone, an estimated up to 60,000 women and men were tried and executed as witches. At the time, that was only 0.01% of the world's population, which would be equivalent to killing 7 million people today.
Wow.
So we're a little bit more enlightened today than we are, but believers in the paranormal, well, these dying are, the things are, occult is low or non-existent. These figures might not tell the whole story. So that's the biggest thing here is so go skiing, you'll die more than you will do is if you're a psychic medium or myself or you, Neil, and we do the paranormal.
So I'm listening to some of those stories. Some of those things that there's instances with those people, it's kind of some freaky stuff. I have to be honest with you. I'm listening. Yeah, like take for instance, suction cups and razors. What? That sounds more like a sexual type thing that's going on there, man. That's some weird, freaky stuff, man.
70 people a year die on a roller coaster.
Yeah.
So, and remember, 0 do from the occult. And here's the biggest thing: the spirits don't do it to you. It's your reaction to what's happening around you that does it.
Like anxiety.
Or if you run and you trip on something or you fall downstairs, not necessarily do you get, like I got pushed.
Yeah, recently, Scotty got pushed at a. Where were you at again?
We were in Rockford at a museum.
Oh yeah, you were with Larry.
I was with Larry, yeah.
Yeah.
But see, there there I was pushed and I got hurt from it, but most of the time it's your reaction to it. If you run away, you trip on something, you step on a rake where you're not supposed to be. Somebody on television did that,
Yeah,
so
comedy.
yeah, but it's your reaction to it. It's not that the spirits necessarily are doing it. It's your reaction to the stimuli that you're in or that you're encountering.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, I have a little story. This just recently came up, and I just found this. It's supposedly a small Bigfoot, like a childlike Bigfoot. I'm going to show you this picture here. Now, I'm going to read the story first. This highly questionable photograph of an alleged juvenile Bigfoot has been met with considerable skepticism. Sometimes a photograph comes along that, despite being quite clear, seems so patently ridiculous and unlikely to be real. That is very difficult to actually take it seriously. Which actually, when you're looking at this photo here, you remember the show Land of the Lost?
Yep, sure do.
That kind of looks like what was that childlike thing from Land of the Lost, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
Right? I mean, but here's the thing is, so I found another photograph of this, but it's not allowing me to look it up, able to pull it up on any of my sites for whatever reason. But when you see the face of this photograph of this child, supposed Bigfoot, it is quite interesting. I'm going to try to pull it up on my other computer in a couple minutes. I'm going to see if we can look at it later. The above image, which was reportedly captured by Bigfoot spotter Stephanie Wood somewhere in North America, is one such example. While the subject of the photograph is certainly easy enough to make out, there's no getting away from the fact that the supposed Bigfoot looks a lot like a child in a costume. Yes, it does look like a child in a costume, but it is distance. So
It kind of looks like Don King.
Or it could be Don King's kid. I don't know. You never know. Our gut reaction to this photo is that it's probably a short person in a costume, maybe a kid, right? But after analyzing it for a while, we're not so sure. That's what I'm talking about. I'm going to try to blow it up myself on one of the computers I have here. And I'm going to try to put it up there because it will not let me download it whatsoever when I get around to it. And you know what? Here's another one that I came across, and we talked about this. I don't know if I talked about this with Barnaby Jones or with Jack Chavez, but here's another one that recently came up within the last year. This is another supposed Bigfoot with an adolescent, holding an adolescent Bigfoot crossing a stream. I remember this story here.
Now that looks like a fat guy at the beach with blonde hair. He's got very Trump hair.
He's got Trump hair.
Right? Look, that's what it looks like. It looks like he's carrying him over. He doesn't even look like he's carrying anything. He looks like he's got a sandwich in his hand.
He's got a sandwich?
Sandwich.
So these are questionable photographs. Of course, people put these out here. Is it real? I don't know. Would I question it? Yes.
Why does everybody have a phone that can't take a sharp picture?
That's all right. So you know what? I just talked to Larry about this subject that you're talking about right now. We all have these 4K phones and this and that are supposed to take the best pictures in the world, right?
Yep.
He explained it, and when I think it was Larry who explained it to me, I think it was him. He said, Neil, think about this. So he goes, yeah, we got this phone. He goes, but think about when this action's happening, we're all of a sudden hurrying up and grabbing it, and we're taking a picture which doesn't stabilize it. And we need to take a minute so that the phone hurry up and stabilize it so you can take a better picture. So I got
a stabilization on my phone. I have an S22.
I don't know.
Ultra Samsung.
How do you feel about Bigfoot?
I can't say no, but I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I understand, if we're talking about it more as an interdimensional being, maybe because, you don't find corpses or anything about them, I don't know. It's just like the Loch Ness Monster. Do you believe in the Loch Ness Monster?
I believe there's something under there, yes. The name Loch Ness Monster, if that's the name they're utilizing, yes. I got to remember, we have not gotten to all the depths of the sea or oceans because it's too deep for human beings. There actually was a special that was done where they put these cameras on these sperm whales to try to find the giant octopus, right? This came out on the Animal Planet some years ago. Now, just so you know, I don't trust the Animal Planet. A lot of people think, oh, that's the best. I'm telling you, they try to fool you because I came across it, but that's for another story. But they supposedly put it on a sperm whale and it went down to the deepest parts of the ocean. And all of a sudden you see this great eye just like open up. It just like opened up and I was just like, wow, that is quite amazing. But
yeah, but if it has a deep eye under the water, what does it need an eye for?
To see?
In pure dark?
Maybe it has some kind of different kind of eye than you and I.
Oh, maybe.
You know?
Alien eye.
Like an alien eye. I don't know, man. I'm not
Aye, Captain. Aye.
Aye, Captain. All right, let's talk about some of the things before we get into our interview with Mr. Robb Demarest. Is it Demarest?
Demarest.
Demarest. I don't know why, and I totally apologize. Demarest.
Right.
So let's show him also because he's a big person about evidence.
Yes.
He is a big person. So let's ask him what he's seen, and I'm going to try to blow it up before we get back on here. I have going on the seance October 26, 2024. We're going to be having a seance at the Robb House in Watsika, Illinois. This is really going to be really, really interesting. It's going to be very overwhelming, but I am going to do it, man. I don't fear the overwhelming. I get stuff done. We are going to be having Miss Diet Renee out there. She is going to be conducting the seance. We're going to be running ghost tours throughout the Robb House, known for the Watsika Wonder. A lot of people don't realize there's more than just the story of the Watsika Wonder that's going on there. When you really, really research it, there was a lot of very strong, dramatic timelines of people who lived inside this house.
Yeah.
And Diet Renee, when she went in there, she was basically getting all these different timelines of people, where it seems like she was scattered all over the place at first, Scotty. But what it was is that she was getting all these dramatic timelines. So this place here, which I believe is definitely on ley lines, is the best place to try to conduct the seance. So that's October 26, 2024. That we're going to be out there for that.
Can't wait to hear.
Yeah. You're going to be at the zoo.
I'm going to be at the zoo doing Boo at the Zoo.
Boo at the zoo, man.
Henry Vilas Zoo. I'll be there. And we'll be doing Ghostbuster stuff that day. And right now they're trying to get another nighttime investigation somewhere. So I'll let you know if that pans out here. So.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening to the Paranormal Guys. Next, we are going to be talking with Ghost Hunter International, Robb Demarest.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Bye-bye.
Hey there. If you're on the hunt for some captivating podcasts about the supernatural, paranormal, alien, or anything that sends shivers down your spine, the Paranormal Guys podcast has you covered. Find them on various streaming platforms, and don't forget to check out them on YouTube channel at Graveside Paranormal. Happy listening, and boo.
Back to the Paranormal Guys podcast.
All right, Scotty, we're back. We are back.
We are, like always.
Yeah.
Actually, we're more front than we were back, but anyway.
Yeah. So our next guest, we're going to bring him out in just 1 second, from Ghost Hunters International, Robb Demarest, has appeared as many successful television shows such as Seekers, Malaysia, Destination Truth, Ghost Hunters International, Sunrise, Australia, and The Project, Australia. Robb has been investigated the paranormal on 12 different continents of the world's continents during hundreds of investigations. This man's been around for quite a while. He's been doing a lot. He has created new equipment to aid in paranormal investigation and been the voice of reason, calling out those who fake any kind of paranormal investigation. Robb hopes to push the boundaries of current knowledge in the field, approaching the mysteries of the paranormal with his own brand of open-minded skepticism and his no-fear approach. Let me bring Robb on real quick. Give me 1 second here, Mr. Robb Demarest. Thank you, Robb, for coming on. Yeah, hold on. Let me just tell our audience what happened. we were deep in conversation, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, deep in conversation.
Good
and
stuff.
for whatever reason, my recording hit off, and I have no idea that's the first time that ever happened. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we're talking about right now, I'm going to tell you, Rob is a very deep person with the paranormal. The conversations that we're having, I find it mind-blowing. What I want to start off with right away, we were talking about EVPs. So let's stick on that subject. We were talking about a Class A EVP is not defined by the dictionary word of what were you saying it was originally?
Traditionally it was developed to the 5 out of 5 people independently, one at a time, would hear the same thing. That would be a Class A EVP.
So that's what's defined as a Class A EVP.
Yes, not super good, not man, it's awesome. And one of the things I was about to touch on is, do you guys know what front loading is?
No, please tell us.
It's a TV trick, as well as a lot of people use it. And I'm not going to say that it wasn't used on shows I was on. You know how sometimes you watch the show and they say, listen to the playback. Did you hear it? We'll play it again. And underneath it says, time to go. And you're like, oh, I do hear it. So when people post an EVP and they say, tell me you don't hear time to go. Of course they hear time to go. That's front loading. Okay. You made their brain seek out the pattern. The same with pareidolia.
Yeah, but that's the same thing though, Rob. You know, as a medium, and I'm out doing events, and I will say that I heard this, then everybody agrees with me.
Right.
So a lot of times I will say, oh, and then I'll write something down on my paper, or like I got something, and everyone goes, oh yeah, I heard what Scotty heard, and I show them nothing. I heard nothing. So I mean, I'm out there trying to show you that I didn't hear anything at that time. So don't try to listen to me and get your front loading.
Yeah, well, Scotty, you're doing a very difficult maneuver, right? Because I'm going to tell you something. You're going to be completely honest right now. How much people would be knocking down your door if you faked it, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
We all know, all 3 of us know. It's like, you ever watch Penn and Teller Fool Us?
Yes, all the time.
Oh, okay, great show. Even though they hate ghost hunting, that's their choice. But you know how they use the code? They're like, you know the difference between a warm reading and a cold reading, and there's certain things that we all know you could do, leading questions, etc., etc., etc. That you could, you got to kind of handcuff yourself and say, here's the tricks that would make this better for you. Sorry to ruin it, but so it's the same for me. I could sit there and load up, and so I was accused of doing it, and I thought I never thought of it, but it's goddamn genius. Excuse my language. They said you take the recorder and you record the EVP in advance, right? And then you don't hit record, which I don't normally when you're asking the question. So you have the EVP already on there, and you say, can you tell us your name? Let's see if we got anything.
And you play back.
Sarah. Whoa. And how did you die, Sarah? Hanging. Oh my God, he's the greatest ghost hunter of all time.
The greatest.
Yeah, so there's easy tricks, and I do the same thing. When I first started, I did my first, what I would call looking for ghosts actively when I was 16. So it's been a good 3 years since then. And so,
You made him laugh.
I haven't gotten to the joke yet.
Oh,
What are you talking about?
I'm just talking about.
Okay, so 30 plus years ago.
Sir. Thank you.
Yeah. I forgot even I wound up at a pretty crazy location. But I remember back then, the point I wanted to make was I remember some of the people back then telling me, and I didn't believe it. And I was a young dude, 16, 20s, even, every day you look back and realize how stupid you were the day before, right? Like you're getting smarter every day. So every day you're smarter than the idiot from yesterday. Who's it? Speaking of smart, I'm not. I've totally forgot what the hell my point was, as I tend to do. Help me out here, fellas.
So we were talking about the EVPs. We were talking about Class A, Class B. How you're able to do a front loading. Now, one of my questions is about the front loading. How many shows, in your opinion, how many shows do you think are doing that as of right now?
All of them. We all do.
Yeah. Okay.
What show doesn't? Have you ever seen a show? Also, now let me give you it even further. Scotty doesn't tell me what I'm going to hear. But Neil whispers to me, he asked them, how many of you are here? Scotty hits play and I go, oh yeah, 6. When you tell me what the question is, my brain is already trying to fit the response into the question. So my challenge was, if you have an EVP that is really good, we will find an independent third party. We will put it up. Don't include the question you asked. Don't include what you think it says.
Right.
And then we'll see. You are saying this is a slam dunk 5 out of 5. I had a couple that, might have hit 2 out of 30, 3 out of 30. This was about the scanning radios. They sent me this stuff, and yeah, you could hear the DJ pretty well, but it was still pretty garbled. And everyone said, oh yeah, I heard it. The saint is protecting you. The sink is broken. Run from it covered the entire map. I'll give you another one. Nowadays, it's become very popular to use the random word generator apps. And please don't tell me, I'm not even going to do it this time, but please don't say random word generator. They ain't measuring a goddamn thing. Stop it. And if they are, they're not using it to pick a word. So otherwise it would just pick the same word over and over and over.
So I have this thing, and we've been debating this in circles for the longest time. And since you're talking about it, we're going to go there. How does a phone and a phone app have anything in it to measure anything? It doesn't.
False. It does.
Okay. It has the equipment inside of it.
You can utilize. Okay, here is this gets the phone case. Right. But what happens when I do this?
Sideways?
Yeah. What happens?
It changes.
Why does it change?
Because you did it.
Because it has a gravity, so that it knows where the center of gravity is, so that it can actually measure in a very rudimentary way changes in the gravitational field. Now you might say, well, what does that have to do with anything? Mm-hmm. As much as EMF has to do with anything? Right. Well, why are we, if you really want to break it down and you want to do and don't repeat anything that is outlandish. If people say, I'm a paranormal investigator, Mr. Enthusiast, I say, oh, okay. Why are you looking for EMF with so many of your pieces of equipment? Well, No, you didn't get me. He didn't get me. He's a dick. No, it's because that's what ghosts make or give off or eat, or I don't know. Something with ghosts. It makes you think you see ghosts. Oh, so well, so why would you be measuring for something that you think makes you see ghosts? Well, that ain't all of it. Yes, it is. And now, but you know what happened is we figured out that right now around the three of us, because we are connected to the internet, we have so much EMF signals bouncing around us. We are in a huge pinball game right now. So I put my meter here, and sooner or later it's going to get whacked. But before we knew that there was EMF all around us, why would this? I asked a question, and this meter lit up. And then later it turned out, well, it's EMF kind of fluctuates and you get radio signals and people's phones are still on. There's nothing really unexplainable. But now, how do you back up, right? Because you got REM pods, you got REM tripwires, you got REM toys, you got EMF jibble jabs. So how do you say there was no reason for us to really be looking for EMF to begin with? And I got into a debate with a well-known gentleman who I respect, and he has his opinion on it, and I have mine.
Right.
You know, and out of respect to him, we had a public back and forth, and then a much longer private back and forth, but everything was, you know, if people, I have a reputation, partially well earned for being a dick. And that is true to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But if anyone comes to me as like, hey, I think we had some confusion. I'm not saying I was wrong. I'm not saying you were wrong. I just think we got to figure something out here. You will never meet someone who's like, yeah, I tried talking to Rob about it, but he just blew me off. I'm always up to have a discussion about whatever you want to talk about.
Right.
You know, so.
That is true. Rob is very easy to talk with.
Well, you know what, Rob?
He'll state exactly what he believes, and that's what you got to love.
Oh, no, and I appreciate that. Believe me, I appreciate people who just, you know, instead of trying to stick to the script on and off and playing the game, it's better to listen to somebody who is going to just speak from what he really believes. Like, take, for instance, we were just talking about these apps that are on phones. It is the modern day snake oil salesman.
Sure, of course it is.
That's what it is. So I do ghost tours throughout Chicago. I'm from Chicago.
Yep.
I've been doing ghost tours throughout Chicago for the last 10 years. People ask me questions. Oh, Neil, I'm going to use this app on my phone. And I'm honest with everybody. I said, I think there are a lot of BS. I go, and I just think what it is someone selling that 99-cent little app to over 500,000 people and making a big buck.
Well, how do you think they program it, Neil? Let's say you don't know what the heck you're talking about. Mm-hmm. That thing detects stuff and it's monitoring all sorts of stuff. Sure. Let's say that's accurate. Okay. What words, if you look at the word list when they will provide them, how many of them have kitten in it? Rainbow, hug, love.
The nice words you're talking about?
Anything besides hanging, suicide, murder, run. It's words that are meant that you would have. It's like we're old enough. We remember $10,000 pyramid.
Yeah.
Things that ghosts would say. You know. So it really, they filled it with 10,000, depending on which model, with 10,000 things a ghost would say.
Exactly.
Your brain will make it applicable. Mm-hmm. If I say murder, Scotty says, believe it or not, it's funny you say that. A friend of mine last year got murdered. And I said that for you, Scotty, because I knew it. Boom.
Right. No. I totally agree.
I talked to a empath in Romania, and it was one of the strangest conversations. And so she said, "I give you a reading. It's so cheap. I'm cheap." And I said, "You're cheap, and I'm broke." And so we were just standing in there in the rain, kind of chatting. And I said, "What happens when you don't get anything?" She says, I try and tell them nice things, lift their attitudes. If I don't connect, I don't connect. What I can do. I don't know how that's Romanian, but that's as close as we're getting. And so I thought, she said, and I got what she was saying. She said, I got to feed my family. This is my job. So I can't sit here and be like, nah, I got nothing, and hand them their money back. So I understand that's another, but that's not true in American television. I should add, you know what, people, stop giving outs to your favorites. Oh, I bet the only reason he faked is the production company made him. Bull stuff. Not true. I was never asked by the production company to fake one thing. That did not come. You think that these people on these shows don't see how the ratings work? No ghosts, no viewers.
Right. No, you're absolutely right.
People said, like, your show sucked. And I'm like, oh, you damn Scipio is boring as hell. Mm-hmm. But we went to some good locations, right? And everyone goes,
yours was,
yeah.
So I want to bring up a location that you were at. Now,
yours was my favorite.
I've
told you that how many times?
17,000.
I know. Hey! But I tell you that all the time. I mean, when we talk, I said, because to me, yours was probably the one. I mean, I've talked to Scott and Paul and everybody that was on it, and it was one of the shows that to me was the most honest, even though I knew stuff was done.
You want to know something crazy? It was honest because I didn't understand how TV worked.
Okay.
Like, so I'm not going to name names, but someone well-known, not Taps people, not the people you'd expect or guess, said to me, so how do you fake stuff on your show? I said, what do you mean? We don't fake anything. And he was like, what? And then, so once you move totally behind the curtain, you go, I was the idiot. Everybody's faking. And I thought we were supposed to be honest. So when Paul came in, he said, we're supposed to be honest. I said, yeah, of course. He said, good. Scott came in, same thing. Every person, till they start shipping people to us, it's with the exception of Joe Chin, who's fantastic. Everyone came in and went, we're honest, right? And I said, of course we're honest. And then I talked to all the other people from their shows. I talked to, I didn't even know these guys, but there's Neil mentioned it, I think, during the part that got cut out.
Yeah, I apologize.
There's stories that Zach could tell, Jason Hawes, Ryan Buell, myself, that will never get told. They exist only in that kind of like weird echelon that I know something about you, you know something about me. Let's not do that.
Right.
But I think that it got very confusing for me where I felt like I was the only moron who thought we were supposed to be real. I noticed the new one, Below Deck, one of their guests came out and completely busted them because it's all staged and it's all nonsense. I was on, and Neil asked me if he could read it in the beginning out. And, I'm famous for my modesty. He said, can I mention that you were on Kitchen Nightmares? And I said, no. It sounds like bragging. But I was. And here's what they do on Kitchen Nightmares. Neil's got a restaurant. It seats about, 50 to capacity. Well, I'm going to pack it up to 60 people at the exact same time. And then watch your kitchen go to hell like any kitchen would. It's great TV.
Sure.
You know, and even more so because there was I started doing some production for a while, and it just became even more like, you know, there's a major network out there that I was at a dinner with, and he was the head of reality programming, and he made this big joke about, you know, we don't expect you, we don't tell you to bend reality, but we sure don't mind it. And everyone like broke out into huge gales of laughter. And I was like, if only the people, like when you're yelling at me, when you're saying, Rob, you're a dick. Number one, you're right. But number two, you just, you know, you don't know the whole story.
Right.
You want to defend your heroes, and I get that. But I'm not the bad guy. You know, I mean, they're the ones tricking you. I'm telling you the truth.
Right.
You know, I
go ahead.
My favorite, I have, because I have two empaths here. I never get to tell this story. My best friend Gaurav Tiwari, before he passed, he said he wished he could be an empath. He studied it. It just wouldn't work. He said, I'm like a rock. I can't get you know, if you shove me, I feel wind. That's about it. And he said, but I mastered, you know, I wound up mastering how to cold read. And I said, shut your mouth. And so he gave me a cold read, and I was like, if I didn't know better. So the person I was seeing at the time, she was like, oh, can you try it with me? And he says, wait, whoa. Water, oceans, definitely a lot of movement. Oh my God, I am always at the ocean. Hey, don't tell me anything. Your grandparents are no longer with us? They are. Good. I'm getting, you see, I never said your grandparents had passed. I asked you. I left it open-ended. Now, if you had said, yes, they both passed, I'd say, ta-da.
Baby.
And so here's the payoff. So he says to her outright, this is how you do a cold reading. I can't do a real reading. So she says, do it. So he does it, and she says, keep going. That's amazing. He's like, no, this is not real. This is a trick. She's like, no, that's all applies to me. Oh, she was a stunner, though. You know, that's we always want to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you know, there's a lot of people who are in the paranormal community. You know, like I get emails from people and this and that, and they say, hey, I have a haunting that's going on in my house. Neil, can you bring some guys over to come see what's going on? I think a lot of people, they love the entertainment value. And don't get me wrong, I know what I am. I'm an entertainer. That's what I do. I do ghost stories, this and that. I understand that's a big part of what we all do, right? You have to be an entertainer. But at the same time, when you're being manipulated by certain things and I come out to your house because you're telling me you got some major issue going on, and you're manipulating me because you want Neil to be like some clown out of a circus to play for you.
It's not that. I think you're taking this too insulting.
No,
I want you to come here and use whatever crap you do and say it's haunted. I'm not trying to use you. I just need you to say whatever you say so I can sell tickets.
Well, I agree. I totally see. You and I are, man, we're there, man. I'm telling you. What bothers me is that there's a lot of people. My point is that there's a lot of people who watch a lot of shows and this and that, and they want to gravitate towards people who are inside these shows, and it's easy to manipulate them. It is easy to manipulate them where they start hearing things in their own house. And then what do? We always talk about don't ever do your own house. Don't ever investigate your own house. So then they reach out to someone like me, because it's happened before, where then all of a sudden they just want to have some entertainment inside their house.
But I turn people down. You know,
I used to do it. I used to do it in the beginning.
I still do.
There's a cup that opens a whole can of worms. Number one, I'm always thinking, well, how the heck would I investigate?
Mm-hmm.
Like I could say you have high EMF, or maybe I caught a snippet of voice. But if you're calling me in, you already know the place is haunted, so you don't really need me for that part. It seems more like you, because I have been proud of myself for the entire years, all the years I've been in and out of the spotlight. No one that I've missed messages, but no one that has come to me for help has been turned away. But the reality is, I don't need to come to your house to help you with your problem.
Mm-hmm.
I can talk you through it. I don't have to give you a gadget.
Mm-hmm.
What you need is, I always say a spirit is like, at the best of times, an annoying roommate.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you scared of your annoying roommate? Everyone says, "Oh, I'll kick him in it." Okay, so the ghost knocks something over and you're jumping out of your skin. Why don't you talk to him?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Let him know. Hey, I try and go to bed by this time, but I'm out of the house from here to here. It's all yours. If you ever want to communicate with me, just knock twice. I'll turn on a recorder for you. You're welcome here till you feel good to move to somewhere you feel better. What the hell did me holding up an EMF meter have to do with any of that?
Right. So what I'm saying also is that I think a lot of people, they want a definition to the problem. Like you said, and I've done it many times like yourself, I get on the phone and I talk to them. If I don't need to go out to someone's house, I'm not going to go out to their house. Come on, man. But the thing is that I've come across some people who they need this definition. I actually came across a case where it was this young man who in the middle of the night kept waking up in the middle of the night doing some weird stuff. And the lady was showing me some things on video and blah, blah, blah. And I said, all right. So I grabbed this one lady I know. I always have a witness when I go to these things. I never, ever go alone. Never go alone, because it's a dumb thing to do, number one. And so I go there because in your heart of hearts, and we all do deep down inside, we do want to help people.
Sure.
We all enjoy the entertainment value. We all enjoy the going out just with your buddies, and doing the ghost hunting stuff. But every now and then, some of us really do want to help other people. So it's about the definition. Sometimes people want to define what is going on. And I tell people, I'm not an expert, because there's no such thing as experts in this field. I go, what it is, Rob, is, in my belief, it's ghost hunters, researchers, whatever you want to call yourself. It's someone who noticed trends in haunted places. So what it is if I'll take, for instance, all these places you can rent out, we'll say the Sally House. You can rent out the Sally House. I think of them as classrooms. And you learn the trends of what's going on in that, so that when someone does reach out to you, you recognize, hey, this is the same thing that was going on at the Sally House where Whispers Estate, blah, blah, blah.
I get a little twisted. What if it was, not to be personal, but I'm going to anyway, because I'm far away. What are you going to do about it? You don't even know where I am. Anyway,
I do.
What if you bastard? What if your great grandmother hung herself in the Sally House? You still want people going in there and provoking and asking her to make a noise every night?
I understand your point. And I've actually asked that question when I go into those places. But the thing is, I'm not renting it out. They're the people who are renting it out and going ahead and putting out that title and that whole description of what this house is about.
I mean, you want to really bombshell people? Now, to the three of us, we're going to be like, ha, ha, ha. But this is something that I guarantee, even though everyone will say, oh, I knew that. No, you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
In our day, you did not go to the local prison and say, hey, we've got $500 and 10 team members. How long did you had to go up and make an ass of yourself and knock on doors and go, Hi, I am a paranormal investigator, and we're curious with such an aged establishment if you had had any of the following types of occurrences. We had to, there was no like pay $500, pay $100. Nobody paid to investigate. And now it's like the same 15 places, and I'm not even going to get into. I think there's some scapegoating that has to do that happens in the paranormal, and that's why, I'll say it right here. I don't think I personally am in that space that most people that are on my Facebook are in. I think they're in the paratainment field, and I'm in the paranormal field.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, and neither one is right or wrong. It's just that maybe we don't relate as well. Hi, little puppy. Oh, she's looking with loving eyes. But I'll give you an example. Actually, a rewind, and it's about your ghost tours.
Okay, please.
When you give your ghost tour and you use a different voice, right? To emphasize it, it's storytelling.
Oh, so it's time to turn on Neil the Entertainer, correct?
Of course, you put on the face. So is that faking? No. I mean, you're trying to make it. So if you watch GHI, I could go, "Hey, Paul, did you hear that or no? Is that you? No? Okay." But that's horrible TV.
Right.
So, I patent it. Everyone else will be like, "No, they didn't." People hate, man. But I always said for ghost hunting TV, you want to be between a whisper and a spoken voice. And everyone says, "Yeah, that's how you get false EVPs." And I said, do you want to make, decent TV? If you don't suck and you know how to even use Audacity, you're not going to be fooled by your own voice as an EVP.
Sure.
But anyway, but as far as the tour goes, see, that's what I'm saying is when we were driving to a location, did we know? Have you ever watched one of the best parts of GHI was we're sitting in the car, right? I'm driving, trying to look all cool with like 9 cameras in my face. All right, so we're in Germany. Like we woke up that morning, just got in a van, and they told us what country we were in. Like we didn't just fly for 2 days to get there. Like they didn't slip a 15-page handout on the history of the location under our door.
Right.
So is that faking? Well, did I say I didn't know any of this information beforehand? I don't think that's faking.
No.
We do OTS, but we do little interviews after the moment, right? And it's usually when they're working on the post editing. They are sitting there and they're going, we have Neil and Scotty investigating in the basement, and the next thing you know, they're in the attic. Mm-hmm. So why don't we let's grab Neil. Where is he? He's in Chicago. Can we get a film crew over? And they'll send a film crew to your house, and they'll put a green screen behind you, and you're going to pretend you're in Jamaica or Croatia or, one of my interviews, my favorite, is I am talking about an incident that happened in a Latvian prison, and I'm wearing a huge GHI winter jacket. And I was in Jamaica, filming in Jamaica at the time. So if you watch it back, I have just sweat. Like everyone's like, "Whoa, easy on the crack addiction, buddy." Everyone's walking by saying, what is funny? Ha, ha, ha. Winter coat, Jamaica. It's not that funny. And I'm like, no, it's not funny. It's horrible. So I think I'm checked out of, for circumstances that we won't get into here, I'm well aware that I'll never be on TV again. I don't mind that. Do I think I'd even be in a position where I would want to lead a ghost hunt again? I don't think so, because it's like, Neil, if you were doing your tour and there's one story you tell that the audience really enjoys, and then afterwards one of the women in the tour comes up and says, "Hey Neil, by the way, that one part you told, that actually never happened," and explains it to you. Well, now you got a choice. If you keep telling the story now, you're faking. But that's the home run. That's the part that makes everyone grab their honey tighter.
Okay.
So, you're weighing the two things. So if they said, "We want to have you on a show and look for ghosts," I would say, "How?" And they would say, "Well, with your equipment." I'd say, "Well, what equipment?" "Well, video camera." "Okay. The one that has the lights." "I don't know what those things are." What are any of them? Let's pick, the reality is, there's for one, the ghost hunting field is going to, it has a 8 to 10 year shelf life. We have run out of time. So even if, the three of us were like, next time it comes around, we got the best show idea, we ain't making a nobody's hiring the three of us 10 years from now. Let's just be real. Well, maybe Neil, but the rest of us, nobody wants to see us now. But
True.
So I talk to people, I build equipment. I still build equipment. Why? Because it's just weird to me. Like, the whole thing is like, none of you have any equipment that to me looks like you can detect spirits. I don't you have a lot of boxes that detect EMF, and then you listen to radio DJs, and you got other boxes that do other random work. Like, the temperature sometimes goes up and down a little bit. So as far as the paratainment community goes, like, number one, I know for a fact this is not sour grapes. I know damn well that 99% of them would say good riddance, but I think I'm out of that part of the field.
Yeah. Now, if I may, I just you talked about equipment, that you make equipment and stuff like that. Like, take for instance, like the SB11, SB7, blah blah blah. I'm kind of like on your wave of thinking, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rob. I think every now and then something random does happen that you go maybe. I think sometimes the best tools out there is just a recording device and an EMF. I think that there's so many things.
I'm not even with you on the EMF. I have no reason whatsoever to measure EMF.
So, Rob, when we did Savannah,
would I do it the same way? No.
But we did Savannah together, and we had a recorder, and that's basically what we had. And then we had two sensitives.
But see, that's why I was able to still do that.
Right.
Because I had two sensitives. So, or there were the three of them. It wasn't like a lead show, but when we shot that pilot, it wasn't dependent on me or you or Coyote Chris. It wasn't dependent on one of us to fill in the holes. We just gave what we had.
Correct.
We won't even get into why, the producer didn't do crap with it, but that's not the point.
Right.
I have my favorite is, I built a piece of equipment, right? I mean, I didn't build it. Shoot, I couldn't make a rubber band and a spoon go together, forget that part. I forget when I say, but I invented it. And I won't say what the name of this piece of equipment is, but someone said, You use that, or said to someone I know who I was letting use it, said, oh, use that thing that the two kids on YouTube use, that they came up with. You want to, I mean, like, we can bombshell all night. Hey, who came up with the idea for Haunted Highway? Hint, it wasn't Jack Osborne. You know, it's kind of a good time to be in the paranormal as everyone fades out. I'm going to tell you something that was a real disappointment to me that I'm still looking into, is that you want to believe, or at least I do, I want to believe that there's colleges out there that have real paranormal investigators. That, like, they're using real scientific testing for, and there are some, but there's not as many as I thought.
Right.
And I call the people, like I said before, you know, when Scotty's cosplaying, he's cosplaying. I call the people in the paratainment field paralarpers. They're playing Ghostbusters, but they're just playing. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, no. I totally understand what you're saying. Take, for instance, and I don't mean to interrupt you, Rob. I apologize.
I never stop talking. Interrupt all you can.
So take, for instance, I had some Ghostbusters at an event, cosplay like Scotty does, which I'm all for. It's all cool, dude. It's awesome. And I said, hey, I go, why don't you go ahead and use this thing? Do you want to? I go, that's why we're up here. And they're like this, they got these proton packs and this and that. They're ready to go, man, ready for the show. And I'm like this, hey, do you want to use this spirit box here? And he's like, no, God, no, please.
But why? But see, that's what I'm saying is, and I will say, we'll just keep those bombs dropping everywhere.
Right.
It's not paranormal TV. Don't be fooled. Don't think it's just that we're the bad guys. You think Curse of Oak Island is legit? You think Skinwalker Ranch is legit?
Curse of Oak Island, dude.
I mean, like 13 seasons. Send a guy down in scuba gear or take an afternoon. Shut up.
They're like this. I found this small looking thing. It's unbelievable.
The producer. You want to be real? The producer threw down there.
Yeah.
They know it. You think the brothers aren't in on it?
Yeah.
Same with the Skinwalker Ranch. They said, hey, buddy, you better back off of this guy. Do you know that he worked for NASA? He's not like you. He's real.
He's nice.
The dude came from Rocket City rednecks. He came from one shitty paranormal show to another. And you online selling orb video live feeds that you can pay for, you should be ashamed of yourself. If you're a scientist, you should retire.
Wow. One of the shows now, when you were on Ghost Hunters International, and the reason why I'm bringing it up is because the Sci-Fi Channel, which then turned into the Travel Channel, which should actually be called the Crazy Weird Channel, is you had it where an episode with Hitler. And before, I think it was around the same time in Argentina, the story, that in 1945 Hitler died. We all know that, right? So supposedly he didn't die, and you were out in Argentina, and you went to the Grand Hotel Vienna, okay? Supposedly there was a spirit of Hitler there that somebody captured a couple of days before you even came there, right?
We'll get to that.
Yeah. So one of the things I'm talking about is that, do some of these shows kind of correlate with the next show? Like, I believe at the same time you guys were doing that investigation of the history, did Hitler really die? Come on, which I loved, by the way. I loved it.
Finding Hitler came out. Now, keep in mind, here's what happened. There's some ironic things. One, we get there and they said their big piece of evidence is someone got a photograph of the spirit of Adolf Hitler. I said, oh, wow. I mean, I really thought conspiracy, he killed himself in Berlin. His ghost is here. That's crazy. Yeah. Can we take a look at it? Yeah, I don't know who has it. Some tourist took it.
Right.
Awesome.
Right. So, dude,
now,
I searched for it.
I've seen the fake that's online is fake. Now,
I didn't find that.
But here's the thing. You know, it's like suddenly a luxury hotel opens up in Derry, Maine, and nobody goes in and nobody comes out. They had that place is right on the end of the right, so it's like all sides are and it had a gunner post.
Yeah.
It had hardcore reinforcements. How many, I mean, I don't know how you guys travel. I'm pretty fancy. I don't go to a hotel if they don't have someone who can cut my face off and replace it with another face. The hotel had a plastic surgeon on staff.
Yes.
Come on. So everyone now, so to tie it in, I think it's possible. Don't get me wrong. They've been working on the Hitler escape because so many look what happened was, man, we're getting into some serious bomb dropping. The church helped Nazi Germany, helped people to escape Germany. That is fact. If it hurts your feelings, I'm sorry. Were there Nazis at Hotel Vienna?
Yes.
Yeah. Was Hitler there? I would bet everything I own against it, and I might lose, but I think I'm pretty safe.
I'll tell you what, though, that sci-fi special
I would agree with you, Rob. He wasn't there.
I liked it. I love, dude. You gotta understand. I love certain things. Like when you were on Destination Truth, right?
Yeah.
Now, you guys did an episode. I think you were part of this episode of, I think it was season 2 or something, and you guys went to go look for Bigfoot, and I think the Loch Ness was on it too.
That wasn't me. I was Chilichaki in the Amazon.
Oh, you were in the Amazon. So let me ask you this, because you're a guy who doesn't just deal with the paranormal. Well, everything's paranormal, really, but you deal with cryptids, you deal with UFOs and this and that. You're worldly about it. You're just not sticking on one thing. Kind of like myself, but I know about certain stories of everything, but not the whole story. It's like a jack of all trades, but I don't know damn shit, But the thing is that, do you believe that there's like a Bigfoot or anything? And that's going to bring me to something in a minute.
Sure. Okay. I absolutely believe that there's a Sasquatch. It's you got the Orang Pendak in Malaysia. You've got Sasquatch here. They're all over the place.
Right.
So recently there was this photo that come out, and I told Scotty I was going to ask your opinion, because we do the news before we meet the guest, okay? This was recently a photo taken where supposedly this is an adolescent Bigfoot, okay?
And I said it looks a lot like Don King.
And I said it looks like the guy, it looks like, you remember the old show Land of the Lost?
That's who I was going with. It's the baby. It looks like exactly like the baby from Land of the Lost.
Now, when you look at it, you're going to think to yourself, oh, it's just people messing around and this and that. Now, there's this next picture I'm going to show you, whereas I had to do this myself. I didn't do any fakery or anything to this. What do you think of when you see this? Do you think it's still just really good, somebody with a mask?
I believe if I was casting a vote, which is worth as much as anyone else, I'd go latex.
Yeah, you'd go latex? Okay.
I'd go Photoshop.
I'd go Photoshop?
I don't think it's Photoshop. I think it's too much work. Throw a mask on, take a couple. Now, that being said, what's the most famous Bigfoot photo of all time? Footage, the Patterson-Gimlin. Do I believe in that?
1956, yes.
Believe in it wholeheartedly. Don't believe in the massacre beforehand, but again, we get, can I tell you the greatest story that you never heard on GHI?
What's that? Please.
We were in like Norway, And here's something. First, it has to be prefaced by, and Scotty can back me up here. Neil, I don't know if you've had the pleasure. Joe Chin off camera is one of the funniest people you'll ever meet in your life.
Yeah. He's a great man.
Until the camera turns on.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he just goes deadpan. So he and I were out in this like huge, like almost hurricane force winds. And I pretended as, because they said that there was a monster in that people had seen a monster in the moat. Mm-hmm. And I was bored inside the haunted castle. So I just wanted to go outside, stare at the moat.
Yeah.
So I pretended I was looking for a ghost. And anyway, so the wind is so strong that a mouthful of saliva builds up as I'm walking into it. Joe says something to me. Is it up here? I turn to answer him, and a huge mouthful of spit claps Joe right in the face. And first thing he does is go, yep, it's definitely starting to rain too. Yeah, I said, oh, you're right, Joe. We should probably head in. I didn't just spit a huge loogie in your face.
That's a professional, dude. That's a professional.
You know what the thing is, though, is there's always going to be, and this is something that I'm working towards that some people love and some people hate, is which side do you want to be on? Do you want to be on the electronics or do you want to be on the metaphysical? Well, the real answer is both.
Yes.
Because if you ain't on both, you ain't going to get there.
Right.
Now, and again, it depends on needs. Let's say you go metaphysical. It's quite possible to get the knowledge you seek without, you don't need some piece of equipment. But generally, if you said, I really want to figure out, when Scotty and Chris and I when I shot Haunting Australia, we had 2 mediums on that show. And I think that's the way forward. And he screwed it up, or they screwed it up in editing, and they got him wrong. But he said, what he said was, I believe it's the first time on television a medium walked in just holding her tape recorder as we taught her. She said, oh, I'm getting a little girl. She's quite ill. She's sick. How are you feeling? Oh, she says she's feeling sick. So you go back, and I'll be gosh darn if there isn't an EVP of a little girl saying sick right before she says she's sick. And Alan was saying, you have not seen a ghost hunting TV show where a medium heard an EVP, but naked ears did not.
Right.
I've been running experiments for
we did that during Savannah too.
Yep.
Because I heard it, and then you stopped the recorder, you played it back, and there it was.
Yeah, no, I've had that. We had a thing on my team, went to the Monroe house, and we did the same thing. So I hear this lady talking, and I told my partner at the time, Steve, because he's using what we call the bionic ear, right? And I said, dude, this girl just said this thing, and sure enough, roll it back, boom, there it is. And it said exactly what I said. It is an amazing thing when these things do happen, though.
There's, it's a funny thing about the bionic ear.
Mm-hmm.
And because of what the bionic ear is actually meant to do.
Right.
And so it seems like you think, at your first thought is, there's got to be a place for it in paranormal investigation.
I believe.
But what the heck is it? We can make it listen way down there, or we could just walk way down there. It doesn't really do anything except listen to something 100 yards straight ahead.
Well, what we were originally doing, and I get your point, that's what's originally intent, is to listen to things far away, correct?
Correct.
So you could pick up some kind of conversation that's going in, and I know, but we were using it that day to pick up any outside noises in the Monroe house. It was just part of the investigation experiment that I was running, and lo and behold, it picked it up because it's at such a loud. And understand, I'm not a tech guy completely. It's at the right level where like it's going to pick up that voice right next to me, where no one else is hearing it. So it's amazing. Certain things are built for something else, but then all of a sudden, like take for instance, SLS cameras. Okay. Now we can't prove or disprove that those are truly apparitions. This is an anomaly.
Whoa! Slow down.
Please.
Slow down. You can say we can't positively prove or disprove their spirits. First of all, you're talking about the Kinect camera. There is no such thing as an SLS.
You're absolutely right, Rob. You are absolutely right, and I appreciate you. I appreciate correcting me.
Well, it sounds cooler, right? Like, because if I go, hey, do you have that Xbox accessory that I use for ghosts? It sounds real stupid. We're old enough that we remember when the SB11, SB7, the S box, the Spirit box, they were all Frank's boxes.
Frank's box. I have an original Frank's box.
Frank Sumption didn't think he was talking to ghosts.
Yeah.
Does anyone remember that? Mm-hmm. He thought he was talking to aliens.
Right.
And then but anyway, I'm sorry.
My Radio Shack hack. I mean,
the Shack hack came next, but people forgot about all of that. Now, here's where I take it back what I said, and I'll tell you why. Because you come across a very interesting idea is what if we could, just bear with me, record audio inside the building with all of us kind of hanging out here. Would the spirits react to seeing us starting to mass up outside the house? Could you get they're here, they're coming, that's what she said, 2 in the pink, 1 in the stink. It's all here nor there.
Right. No, I think you're right. Could you? Yeah. Anything's possible. Is it perfect? No.
I love you, Rob.
But here's the thing is if you take a Kinect camera and anything you look at, what it's designed to do is to find anything with the angles to map out a human shape.
Yes.
So if I hear one more person, I swear I'm going to lose it. So it can't make it fit right because it's not a person. So it keeps trying the leg this way, then that way, then this way. If I hear one more person going, it's dancing. Oh my God, look at it. It's right next to you. It's dancing. It's a goddamn. Why do you think? Let me ask you this: anyone who believes in it, that all y'all see, this is why I don't worry about the paratainment field. They hate me anyway. But all you that wasted your money on the SLS, it's a piece of mapping software with an infrared camera. Where did Harry Potter wave a wand over? It's not magic.
No,
it's a goddamn shitty infrared camera with mapping capabilities and weak ones at that.
Right, but my point was to this is, I appreciate, believe me, I appreciate your in-your-face kind of honesty. I truly do, dude. I really do. The thing is, my point is that how the bionic ear was originally used for something else. And then it was used on a different technology thing where we adapted it. Some people do, some people don't, for ghost hunting. Okay. SLS,
I think it'll work somehow.
Right.
The parabolic.
I'm going to use the word connect. I use it correctly. And you're absolutely right. It was a Kinect. Xbox. They use that because I remember my kids used that to buy things online to put an outfit on them. You remember that?
Okay, but all I need is I would love you to explain how, if I set an infrared camera with mapping software next to another infrared camera, why does the Kinect see ghosts?
All right, so I'm going to I realized that this product here is BS. Okay. I'm going to tell you why.
I love it. He said it.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you why. Because but once again, we have to learn by trial and error on everything and anything we do.
Sure.
So I go and I get a product. I'm borrowing someone's product, and it's picking up figures in each corner of this bed at the stands. And I'm like this, wait a minute. It gives almost the same kind of body frame as a small person. It's taking it off the lamps. It is using the lamps. It is centering in on a lamp. And what is that thing built to do but extend what looks like two arms and a stick figure? It's not built to do a round person, a round face, or any of that other stuff. It's built to do a stick figure. So if it thinks it's identifying something as a person, well, then we're going to get that. And we're going to know that it is going to move around because it did in the video game too.
I'm wrong all the time. I'm wrong multiple times every single day, as are most of us. I use a broken watch is right twice a day. But the flip of that is that, Neil and I are 20 years old when he's looking up and I'm reading the magazine. He says, "Holy cow, you just missed it. This huge comet just flew through the sky." And I say, "Neil, you always make stuff up." And I sit out there for the next 60 years looking up and I see, you're such a liar, Neil. I told you there was no such thing. And then a year after I kick the bucket, Halley's Comet goes past again. So just because I didn't see it doesn't mean that that makes me some kind of expert. But now they're going for low-hanging fruit. Like, hand me a piece of. You remember when compact discs came out around 90? Like when they first came out, I don't know how much money y'all had, but I didn't have any. But like fancy people had them in their music rooms, their single CD. And so what happened was, pretty soon they became more and more commercially available, right? Like there was some in a boombox and some in a Walkman, and heck, you could put one in your computer. You could put one in. I got one in my clock. I got one in my fridge. I got one in my microwave. One in my car. So we've kind of done that with the paranormal, right? I got an EMF meter in my flashlight. There's a random word generator in my, drone. Like, you're just tacking the same 9 things. So when you're talking about, well, okay, what would you suggest? It would be anything other than the 3 things that every single other paranormal investigator is looking for. I'm not saying EMF, no way it's wrong, but why is everyone so satisfied that, well, now that we've got that sorted out, we're good now? What are you talking about? We don't know shit about ghosts. And you people act like the equipment solved the equation. The equipment is smoke and mirrors. It's like American politics. We're not a democracy. We're a civil oligarchy. You only get to pick from 2 parties, except for your local politics. That's a civil oligarchy. That's not democracy. And by the way, I didn't say that. I love America. That was Scotty.
It was.
Hey, you know what, Rob? I'm going to tell you something, dude. I really, even though we probably messed up 15 minutes of this conversation, I do apologize. I really did appreciate the conversation we had today.
I appreciate it too, man. Like, I'm, just because I'm not involved in the paranormal in such a way, there's still, like, if I've got pieces of equipment right now that you've never seen, but I took the very simple task of forget. If you want to be a real enthusiast, which I am not at this age, you know what I mean? Like, you know, a lot of people, there's rumors here, there, and everywhere. And I'm not going to go into detail. My health is not amazing. So I don't have, you know, 50 years to like, oh, I'm going to start doing this, that, and the other. Right. So if you wipe everything off the desk, I'm not going to look for ghosts with anything else. Everyone else is using that stuff. I'm going to start looking for maybe ghosts give off carbon. Maybe they give off ozone. Maybe it could be anything. Why is everyone looking for EMF? Look for something else and say it never changes.
You bring up a very good point.
Maybe they give me headaches.
Yeah.
Maybe
you bring up a very, very good point.
Give me strokes. No, I'm serious. You know, I've been looking into that for the longest time because people that do what I do, we all have autoimmune diseases.
Yeah.
And so why are we getting that type of disease, and why a lot of readers and a lot of sensitives and stuff have that? So what is that causing? Why are we getting that type of
you want to get real deep? There's a very well known, and I changed the quote, even though we're running over now, but this one is important. I changed his saying, but he said, why do you think that you're going to jump in to do a big cannonball into a swimming pool filled with mud, and then when you're ready to come out, you're going to be clean?
Right.
Where did you get that idea from? You want to get into the paranormal, you want to get into the darkness and the scares and the fear? Well, okay, so why are you scared if it follows you home? If you're so scared about that, don't go.
Right.
No, I agree. I agree with that. You know, like you said, like you said, we were kind of going over, but one point that Scotty was talking about, I just want to bring up is, take for instance, both him and I are both diabetics, right?
Right.
So when you go into certain places, I get this false thing when certain things we'll use the word entity, tries to get close to you or whatever. You get this feeling where it almost feels like your sugar's low. I know we've talked about this with other people who are diabetics and this, and then I'll go ahead and I'll check my sugar. My sugar is just fine, but I feel it like I'm dropping, man. I'm dropping. And I'm sure, Scotty, you felt that before.
And it is. I mean, because when I do readings, when I sit down to actually do readings, my blood sugar does drop.
Yeah. It's weird, man.
And I have to have either some soda, or I have to have sugar, or I have to have something, candy with me, because if I do readings for a long time, my blood sugars will drop.
Right. Well, we talk about that we make jokes about a paranormal hangover. Is that a case of just your normal sleeping schedule getting, terribly interrupted? Or were you wandering a little too close to the flame?
Maybe both.
Maybe both. Exactly. And so I think that, the point is, I got a lot of people in this field who, I was close with that met pretty dark ends.
Yes,
I think a lot of people underestimate this field. And look, if you want to be scared, I'm not mad at you. Just go to like your local barn ride or your haunted house maze and all that shit. You don't want to get into the stuff that I did for 20 years. It's not smart. It's not a career. Everyone talking about, that my career is a paranormal investigator. What career? If you ain't on TV or making enough money off YouTube, this ain't a career. Or your own, porter with Ghost Stop.
Right. Right. Hey, I'm actually getting paid on Facebook now. Hey, can you believe it?
No kidding. Scotty, I had, and now that we're way over, when I was going to do my podcast. I called in everybody I knew from my podcast, right? So, and forget paranormal, all the signings you do,
right?
Where it's just, you've done them with the Ghostbusters. You just meet random people. So I can email Ernie Hudson. I can email, like, some of these guys are genuine friends of mine. like Dog the Bounty Hunter's son. You know, everyone's like, all the ladies love that one. I'm like, hey, what am I, chopped liver? But I guess he is quite a good looking young man. But my one tale of woe is I had Parker Lewis on.
Wow.
And everything went wrong. You think tonight was bad? We lost 10 minutes, whatever. That's nothing. I couldn't get his audio to work. When I did, I couldn't get my audio to work. He's a really nice guy. He's doing us a favor, but he's checking his watch. He's kind of looking at his wife. And after 20 minutes, I was like, I am never going to schedule like one of my bigger names, you know, and because everyone's like, hey, I'm ready to come on. And I'm like, I don't want to embarrass myself or you. And I also had a lot of people who were like, yeah, we're going to do it together. We're going to do it together. And I'm going to tell both of you guys, if one of you had dropped the ball and been dragging your feet, the other one would have said, forget it then. You know what I mean? Like, if they're not going to do anything, I'm not either.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a couple of us, and I felt like I was the only one pulling all the weight, and it was time to call it. And I don't know if I have enough energy and time in me to spend the rest of my days talking about ghosts.
I hear you. You know, it's.
But see, that's where Neil. I just came on with Neil not too long ago, and I joined back in because, you know, I've been doing this since, you know, 2008, 7, some crap like that.
Yeah.
And I love it. I've been in it, been doing it. And then Neil came up to me. We were at a show, and Neil and I met. And then we met at the next show we were both at. And I said, so you're still doing that podcast? He goes, yeah, I'm looking for somebody. I said, all right, I'm in. And it's about the thing about, I have the energy. I mean, I have the buddies. I mean, I have you know, I have other great friends that could come on and then we could talk about. And that's, but what it is I miss us talking. I miss, you know, you and I text on the phone and we send messages to each other, you know, but not as much as we should. You know,
no, and I, you know, it's
years.
You know what I always consider it to be is, Scotty, if I call you up and the conversation just becomes, hey, remember the time, Rob, you did this? Oh, that was funny. Hey, Scotty, remember this? This was cool. You know, the friends that all you do is remember the time.
Right.
Remember when this, you're not out there having new adventures. You're just talking about the ones you had 20 years ago over and over. And so I admit that I am really bad at maintaining friendships. So once I see them kind of hit the like, hey man, so remember that one time? Like, there's people who I have nothing but respect for that I guess we don't talk. Paul Bradford, right. Tepperman, Joe Chin, Barry Fitzgerald. I haven't talked to any of them in Paul I've talked to many times, but besides that,
coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Who does? Bradford?
Paul's going to be on next episode.
There you go. Paul's awesome. You can ask him, Neil, and you can ask him about the game show if you want to hear something really offensive. No, it was, you know, that's a long story. I'll let Paul tell that one when he has an hour. I'll make him kill his time.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Rob? I'm going to tell you something, dude. And I'm being honest. I'm being genuine, dude. This has really been a really cool conversation with you.
Hey, I appreciate you guys having me on. You know, I don't do it anymore. It's just because Scotty asked me, just for the fact that, like, why do you want a kid to come and pee on your parade all the time? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's more fun if we all pretend we're adventurous ghost seekers. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people don't want to hear what I have to say. And I'm not saying don't ghost hunt. I'm saying always be thinking of a new way to do it if you want to do it.
You never said that. You never said that. And you've always agreed with my abilities. You've always been.
Well, you're different. I don't think I have no way to judge a medium except because I don't accept readings. So if you say to me, and people ask me why, because Scotty, you say to me, I'm a medium. Now I've seen it through different avenues. But if say we're strangers, you come up to me and you say, I'm a medium. I go, okay, that's it.
Right.
Why would I have to prove it? Like, you'd have to prove it to me. Neil, we just met and I say, I'm a dentist. You don't go, oh yeah, extracted tooth, big guy.
Right.
What? If you said you're a medium, you're a medium. Who am I to, like, I only get mad when people say they're paranormal investigators. I got 5,000. Well, as of right now, once this airs, I'll be down to about 4, but
that's all right. That's all right. It's cool.
Look, I mean, it's really, everybody wants to play the game, but no one wants to admit it's a game.
Correct.
And so I've got like when I'm retired and I'm done, I'm gonna just give all the stuff I've built that you never saw on TV and stuff that's been effective. Because that's and this is my last thing, is because the paranormal and equipment, and Paul can vouch for this, became a whole bunch of we've been using that for 5 years. Anything you ever try, somebody's got to come up and tell you, oh, my team's been doing that. You could say you caught an EVP on the moon and Neil Armstrong will come out of nowhere and play you his.
Right.
But, anytime, gentlemen, anytime you're lacking a guest, I am going to be, as of this weekend, back up in New York, hopefully getting my a better place to podcast from without all these dogs and cats attacking me.
I love them.
Yeah, they're the cutest thing in this video. But hey, guys, thank you again. Have a fantastic evening.
Thank you, Rob.
Love you, Scotty. Take care, guys.
All right, thank you. Bye. All right, that was Rob. Man, that dude, man, cool dude.
Isn't he awesome?
He's a cool dude, man.
All
right, ladies and gentlemen,
one of my best friends. He is just amazing.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Robb Demarest. Oh my God. Demarest. And as always, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed this show. It was amazing. Boo.
It was.
Thank you for listening to the Paranormal Guys podcast, a Graveside Paranormal production. And as always, boo.